What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to focus on 1K voices. This is the raid exotic from the Last Wish raid, and it is very much one of the better weapons to use in Destiny 2. As a matter of fact, with some recent changes, this weapon is really good in the Garden of Salvation raid. So if you're having trouble getting done GOS, this weapon is really good. If you have 5 of these versus the final boss, this can be very great if you pair it with Divinity. So there's a number of reasons why you want to get 1K voices, but you can only get this from the Last Wish raid, and that's where we are right now. Now the focus here will be on how to best get this weapon. So I'm going to talk about how to farm Riven, give yourself 3 chances per week, and talk about some of the best strategies to use against that final boss. We'll cover the Queenswalk, and hopefully when you get done that, you'll be able to use one of your 3 keys if you have 3 characters, and one of those will give you 1K voices. Now I do want to say that if you have not tried the Riven encounter legit, that it is definitely worth doing. So it is one of the cooler raid encounters that I've played, in my opinion. So I would definitely say give it a try if you haven't. Even if you don't get it done, it is a very fun encounter, but the focus on this video will be on how to take down Riven quickly and efficiently, and to do that we'll be using one of our trusted swords right here. We're going to be using the sword strategy, so if you haven't seen that, stay tuned. You'll see exactly why this is such a good weapon to use. Any weapon that has, or any sword that has whirlwind blade can do some amazing damage here. On this character, I'm on my warlock, so we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. To get to Riven, we're going to use the Wish Wall. So I'm here in the Last Wish raid, and I made my way over to the Wish Wall. I'm sure you're familiar with this, but this is wish number 7. So you can either take a look at my screen right here, and this will give you an idea of just the type of code you have to put in. But I'll also link in the description a list of all the wishes and how to get to any particular encounter. But here we're going to use wish number 7 and make our way to Riven, and we're going to see exactly why that sword strategy is so good. So let's go over here and stand over our plate, and this will take us over to Riven itself and the final encounter. Okay, so we made our wish and we are now at the final encounter. This is where we're going to battle Riven, this is where we're going to do the Queenswalk, and ideally this is where we're going to walk away with a shiny 1K voices. Now the strategy that we're going to be using here is the sword strategy. I know that may seem counterintuitive, but in my experience this is just as fail-proof as the old rocket launcher strategy back in the day. The key thing here is you want to have a sword that has whirlwind blade on it. This is the most important trait to have on your sword. Right now I'm using the sword from the Heroic Menagerie, but any sword that has whirlwind blade will do. Now you want to make sure that you're using all the perks that give you more damage. So right now I have Jagged Edge, I had this fully masterworked, and I already boss spec on here. All of these things will work well in conjunction with whirlwind blade. That's the most crucial element to have. If you don't have this sword, this one's from the Heroic Menagerie, you guys can always pop into a live stream. I've done a lot of help for that. But if you don't, you can always check your collections as well. So pop over to your collections and look at your weapons here. If you go to your swords, you may have the negative space. Now this is a year 1 weapon, so you can't put a boss spec on it or any of that kind of fancy stuff. But if you don't have any swords at all, check your collections. You may have this one, and that will satisfy the most important thing of having whirlwind blade. So the other important thing I want to mention here is your teammates should be using swords except for one player. One player should be using the tractor cannon. So this is going to help out all the other 5 teammates. In my opinion, you want to make sure that your Titan, whoever's using the bubble, has tractor cannon on it. That'll make things just a bit easier, and I think that's going to be the best approach for most teams. Now you want to have at least one warlock that has Well of Radiance, and like I said, the bubble Titan is going to be huge because of the extra damage from it. If you have any armor at all from the Reverie or from the Reverie Dawn collection, this is a Dreaming City armor, throw that on. Even if it's a lower light level, it's not a big deal, but this is going to give you way more damage output with those different perks as well on your sword. So keep that in mind. You want to have 5 swords with whirlwind blade, at least 1 Well of Radiance, at least 1 bubble, and then have the bubble Titan use the tractor cannon. But anybody can use tractor cannon, but I just think the bubble Titan is a little bit better. So that's going to be the strategy. That's going to be your comp for your team. And with that said, we'll jump right into the final encounter. You'll see exactly why swords are so good against the Taken Ahamkara Riven. Okay, so now we are on the Riven fight itself. Once you stand on all 6 plates, that'll initiate the encounter, and you'll drop down to the room below. My team likes to go to the blue room first. You can go to either the blue room or the green room, but all 6 players want to rush to that area together. You have a small window, so make sure you're running there as fast as you can. The only downside to the sword strategy is you don't have much time to recover if the shadow is not there. So in my opinion, if you don't see Riven's shadow, just go ahead and wipe and try over again. So once you get into the room, you want to quickly look up and hopefully you see a shadow. If you see a shadow, you're in business and you're good to go. So once we get inside the room, we look over and we see the shadow and we all get excited. Once you do that, you want to make your team go to the left hand side, and this is where you're going to hang out basically until Riven shows back up. While you're waiting, take out all the scions, take out the hobgoblins. Those guys can mess you up pretty good. So having a longer range weapon like a sniper is good for these guys. And also too, it's also good to use at the very end during Riven's Last Stand. So having a sniper, having a golden gun nighthawk for your hunter is also good too, but that's going to be at the end of this fight. So once we're waiting here, we're taking out all the enemies. We took out the captain. Just make sure you don't pick up the orb that he drops. And we're waiting for Riven to show up. So you can use the timer from that orb to give you an idea of when Riven will come back to this room. Once you're getting down low on time, everyone's going to hang out here on the left hand side. And this is when your Titan needs to be ready, when your Warlock needs to be ready to throw down the well, to throw down the Titan bubble. You want to have the bubble tucked up right next to Riven's arm and right over top of the well. So now that she comes out, I throw down the well and my teammate uses the bubble. From that point, you're just going to spam your sword attacks. So you're spamming the R1 attack, and then when you have full sword energy, use R2. And you can see that it just melts Riven's health. I think this is honestly the easiest strategy to do as far as Riven strategies overall. You can melt her pretty fast if you have this combination. Tractor cannon, and then 5 swords with whirlwind blade. Once you take down Riven, you get teleported to the Ascendant Realm, and here's when you want to make your way back up to the very top of this area. There are some taken phalanxes here, so be mindful of them. Use grenades, use your long range weapons to take them out. They do have that one shield attack that can send you flying off the map and careening to your death, so keep that in mind. If one of your teammates does die, it's not a big deal. Just make sure that when you get teleported out, to res them and get them back in the fight, because you need their damage for Riven's Last Stand. So here we are, we're making our way through here, we're taking out all the different phalanxes, and we're making our way back to the very top. Once one teammate gets there, that teleports everybody out, and just make sure you grab the res really quick. And here Riven has a Last Stand. So if you have another Well of Radiance, that's great. If you have a Golden Gun Nighthawk, that does a lot of damage versus this. And any sniper is good here too. So if you have one that has box breathing, vorpal weapon, etc., you can melt her down pretty fast. So we took her down for the Last Stand, but there's one final step before we get to the Queenswalk, and that is taking out her heart. So you want to jump inside her body here and rush inside and take down her heart. There's a small window of time here, so you want to be as fast as you can, and you want to again have some high impact weapons like a sniper. So once you get down here, just fire off as fast as you can and take down that beating heart. Once you beat this part, you will be given an ethereal key, and that is going to be what you use at the very end to open the chest. So if you do this on all 3 characters, you have 3 keys per week. Now we have the Queenswalk. So the final step before you can use that ethereal key is to do the Queenswalk, and this takes us back through the raid itself. I recommend having an ad clearing super and ad clearing weapons. So I'm using Thunderlord and the Arc Strider. Now with this encounter, one of your teammates will randomly be chosen as Fate's Chosen. That is the person who's going to kick things off for this encounter. In this case here is Man of War. When he picks that heart up, the countdown starts. So you have 2 things. You have a debuff, the Creeping Darkness, and then you have the Fate's Chosen timer, in Man of War's case, counting down right now. Once that reaches 0, Man of War will be teleported to a different area, and one of your teammates will be randomly selected as Fate's Chosen. This process will repeat itself throughout this encounter. Again, having an ad clearing super is great. Having an awesome weapon like Thunderlord is really good for this. But the key thing is you want to make sure that your team has coordination in terms of counting down that timer. If that timer reaches 0, that person will get teleported. The key thing to note is if you're within that bubble when it reaches 0, you will also get teleported too. So you do not want to have that happen. You want to make sure that whoever's Fate's Chosen is counting that down so that their teammates know when to get out of the bubble and be safely not teleported. Now on the other side, the people who are getting teleported, their job is to extend your duration by picking up taken orbs. These are very similar to the taken orbs or blights that are in the Morgoth encounter. So it's also useful to make sure that whoever gets teleported first, in this case here for my team it was Man of War, have the person who got teleported first be designated as the guy who's picking up the last taken orb. I think there's up to 3 of those depending on how far you go through it. But you're going to basically rinse and repeat this process. You're going back through the vault, back through this Last Wish raid, and that's going to get us to our home base where we can collect our chests and get the 1K voices, hopefully. So in this part here, in the vault area, it can either be the trees room that's open or the rock room. In this case here, we got spun around just a bit, and the trees room was open. So you want to make sure you're looking and see which room has the gate open for you to go through. So here we keep going. Again, my teammate is counting down their timer. The teammates in the other area are picking up the taken orbs to extend the duration of the Fates Chosen, and we're just slowly working our way back through this raid. Again, make sure you're not inside the bubble when that reaches 0. And here, I'm Fates Chosen. So now I'm going to push forward and hopefully make it to the very end. You can get through this with just 5 people, and actually even less than that, but you don't want to push your luck too much. So now we're going to drop down here, and we're almost at the home destination. Once you get down here, you're going to look for the steps that have the red next to it, and make your way up through there. Once you get up those steps, and once you dunk Riven's heart, this ends the raid, ends the encounter, and it allows you to use those ethereal keys to collect from the different chests. Now, it doesn't matter which chest you choose. 1K voices is tied to the key itself. So all the different theories and wives' tales about how to get 1K voices, honestly, it's just programmed to the key. If it's on your key, you're going to get it no matter what chest you pick. So here, we're hoping that Man of War gets it. Spoiler alert, he did not. Man of War has not gotten 1K voices. In the comments, please, comment below 1K voices for Man of War. We need that to trend here on Twitter, on YouTube, etc. He hasn't gotten it yet, but I hope he gets it soon. But this is going to be the most efficient way of farming for 1K voices. Doing the Riven encounter 3 times. The storage strategy is your best bet. Whirlwind Blade, Tractor Cannon, Bubble. That's going to be an amazing combination. Once you have all 3, go through the Queenswalk. If you're having trouble with this, just rewind the video to see exactly where to go. And this will be the best way of farming this raid weapon. If the video is helpful, guys, hit the like button. It makes a big difference. Even better, subscribe. Come back for more videos. I hope you get 1K voices, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. See ya.